I said that I had a reason for being patient, it is because I know that we are all from one family. And if we have a disagreement, no matter how bad it is, it should be resolved. But it has become very clear that this disagreement, there is no headway to it. And for a lot of reasons, there are very, very visible evidence that there is sabotage, deliberate attempt to sabotage this administration. For that reason, we have to move forward.
Yes.
And moving forward, if it means taking decisions that is going to hurt anybody, I'm happy that you're already a son before coming in. It means that you must have been a thorough man. It's not the one that while you're here, they now pay money to give you sand. When you become the son, the only thing you do is to sabotage government. Like I said, you will get your reward, not in this world, this world. Let me also say this. You have a big tax. As it is today, in the local palace, they said the jungle has matured. We will be setting a panel of inquiry to investigate the affair of governance.
Well, clearly, there are many rivers to cross, even in River State. Mr. Mando Obani is here with us. He's a legal practitioner. Good morning. Thank you for coming on today.
Yeah, thank you, Chamberlain.
So, sometimes some think that, oh, they're immune to some of these things going on. But lawyers, SANs, I don't know who, and no one can miss that part. But he did say some lawyers actually pay to get this SAN conferred on them. And it raises a lot of questions about so many things going on in government. And who knows what else this rift might reveal. But let's start from the legal perspective, what we're taking a look at this morning. So when you hear those kinds of statements of SANs, the public will definitely wait a minute. I mean, most of these SANs we see, is that what really happens?
That is not actually what happens. I'm also surprised at that statement.
But he should be speaking from some fact somewhere.
No, but he's not a lawyer. And I don't think he has been involved in the process of confinement of this position of silk to any of the lawyers. He is not a lawyer. He was never involved in the process. That statement, clearly is out of tune.
But
and I'm sure
someone who's been in the accounts,
yes,
he knows where monies are going.
I'm sure at the end of the day, he will be in a position to make an apology, tender an apology for this. I didn't expect that from a governor on a serious note. And I don't think that is actually what happens. I don't think so. It's a statement that was probably made out of,
Is that you don't think so? You don't know
knowledge. I don't know so, and I don't think so too. Any lawyer that is conferred with that very privileged rank in Nigeria today, earns it. It is given on merit. It's a very rigorous process, and that is the truth. For you to be a senior advocate in Nigeria, you pass through a lot of process, and you must have conditions fulfilled before you are conferred with that rank. And so I am aware of the process. I'm a lawyer of 30-something years at the bar. I have not gotten it. It could have been conferred with it if it's given so cheaply.
You've not chosen to pay?
No, that's not true. It's not been paid for. I have the money to pay for it, but it's not being paid for. You have to earn it. You have to justify it.
But
so I don't think that is a good statement.
That also casts a lot of questions about the judiciary in all of this that is going back and forth. Because, of course, that there are several court decisions on this matter, albeit interim, and you keep wondering. You thought that, the former president of the Court of Appeal, the head of the I can't remember his name, Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN, had also warned judges about some of these things, but we're still seeing this, and many are even saying, look, if not for the way the judiciary is lending themselves to all of these things, this thing might have been a straightforward matter in the first place.
I agree with you. The issue of abuse of ex parte elders by the judiciary has actually received the attention of many stakeholders in the industry. Recently there was this particular national summit on justice. That was conveyed by the Attorney General, and the NJC and the MB, and they decried this issue of using ex parte orders, as if it's something you can just walk in and obtain. And the issue is that it is an order you obtain without putting the other party on notice.
Against the principle of natural justice.
And then fair hearing. Now, this issue of asking the people who were elected now not to act anymore, that was obtained on ex parte. Almost everything that has happened in Rivers crisis, all the orders obtained from the courts were ex parte orders that has a lifespan. And they're now making it look as if it is going to be forever. No. So it's giving a lot of people in that sector, much concern. And that's why there's going to be some level of measures. The CGN also decried it, and the CGN is trying to put measures in place to guide the process of obtaining ex parte order. It is an order that's supposed to be given on an emergency situation where there is a threat to the destruction of the substantive issue that you have brought yourself to court for. So, issue of giving it without any proper reason is something that really confuses the entire stakeholder.
Help us explain this. Yes. Two conflicting ones.
Yes.
First, the one that was given in January by Justice Omotosho, where he restrained, I think, 17 others, including the governor, the IGP, several people, from either preventing the, I think, 25 lawmakers thereabouts from carrying out their duties or submitting any other documents to any other group other than these 25.
That's right.
And then you had another one coming from the River State High Court, where he did recognize some of the other ones, saying, well, these are the group of people who should be, and these other people have no such claim whatsoever. So, since they were both obtained in what you refer to, how do the people relate to
now, the Abuja order, was he obtained ex parte, or was he obtained after, a substantive trial has taken place? Now, if it is obtained after a substantive trial has taken place, then the order of the High Court in Rivers cannot in any way overrule that, because they are court of coordinate jurisdiction. You can only obtain that order by going on appeal, or the court that gave that judgment setting it aside. Has that been that process? I don't know what happened. I think it's Justice Omotosho that gave the order restraining. That order, has it been vacated? If it's an ex parte order, it has a lifespan, no doubt, But if it is given after full hearing, then means you have to reverse it on appeal. Has that process been complied with? The issue of now a High Court in Rivers giving an order that they should stop parading themselves, is it a review of the earlier order? Can they do that under the law, under the Constitution? And I said no. My take on the issue of those who defected, and I want to really say it here with every sense of responsibility. I've heard the opinion of many lawyers on this issue, and this is my own opinion. Section 109, if you can bring it on the screen, 1G, specify the position of a defecting legislator under the 1999 Constitution, 109, 1G. He said you are supposed to vacate your seat upon defecting to another political party, because you come under a political platform. The moment you leave that platform under which you came in, you cannot be an independent candidate. It's not recognized by law. Now, if you do that, you have lost your seat as a legislator. But the same Constitution now went behind to now say, made a proviso. By reviving the right of that individual that is said to have lost his seat. You have lost your seat the moment you defect. But if you can now prove two things: one, that there is a division in the political party you are coming from, or there is a merger, then your right again is revived. So you are supposed to be there. Now, if such happens, and I'm saying it's only the court now that comes in, because the issue of right now is to be determined. And under our Constitution, 66B, It is only the court that determines right and obligation under 1999 Constitution. No other institution. Because issue of right now is issue. I'm saying, yes, I have actually defected, but I have a reason why I have defected because I'm alleging division or merger. It becomes issue of fact. The other person says, no, there is no division, there is no merger. It becomes the issues are joined.
It doesn't automatically kick in.
It does not. It's the court that now determines it. And my fear, my problem is that people are now saying, oh, it's automatic that the court has no right now to determine. The court can't come in. I said, no. You are not reading the Constitution as a living document. The 1999 Constitution is a living document. It says that only the third arm of government determines rights and liabilities. And that is judiciary. And if I am saying my right now is revived, that was taken away is now revived, who determines whether that right is revived or not? It's the judiciary. So you can't take away judiciary from this. It must be the one to determine the status of those 27 legislators.
Well, I know that at the end of the day, whatever is taken to the court,
yes,
you know, for people who are watching what is happening in Rivers and anywhere else at that,
yes,
justice must not just be done;
yes,
it must have been seen to be done. It
correct,
is still the people who, you know, determine whether or not they feel that
yes,
justice has been done in a particular matter.
I agree with
and that will be based on the facts available to them about what they know on the issue. So if the lawmakers in Rivers were to say, oh, look, it's because there is a division, the question will be, where is this division in the party?
Yes.
If they say there was a merger, the question will be, where is the merger? So from what you can see and from what everyone can see, has there been either a division or a merger?
No, you cannot determine it.
So why we cannot determine it?
Why you cannot determine it is that there is an arm that we now determine. It has happened in several instances. There have been Supreme Court decision on this. The Supreme Court says you lose your seat automatically, provided you cannot prove that division. So it is a court now that says, yes, from available evidence, there is no division.
Yes,
so you have lost.
What I'm saying is, what you seem to be saying is that people cannot hold opinions on it.
You can't, because it's only one arm that is determining rights. You cannot determine rights. You as an individual, you have a right to your opinion. I respect your opinion, and everyone respects your opinion. But I'm saying, in this issue of determining that right and obligations now, you cannot in your bedroom. It is the court. You go to the court. The court now says, yes, you are wrong. There is no division. There is no merger. So you are losing your seat. Without that pronouncement, nobody can say in his bedroom and say that right has been lost.
Okay, let me just even give the instance. So, I mean, as journalists, for instance, we cover these issues. I mean, we cover cover what is happening in the state, you cover what is happening at the federal government. When there was a merger, I mean, a merger of political parties.
We all know it.
Exactly. It was not something, it was not hidden news. It was something we all knew. When there was infighting, excuse me, when we saw, for instance, is it 5 governors initially, or is it 7 governors the very first time in 2015, walk out of a particular convention and, you know, go out on their own and say they're no longer members of this party. They're going to, or even forming another, you know, new body. As is it what they call it? Is it G5 or G7? Was some they named themselves, gave themselves a name. Yes, before they eventually joined a new coalition or a new party, as the case might be. We saw all of that. I mean, in this particular instance, I'm just asking if you have seen or heard any of these kinds of instances coming up in River State.
You're very brilliant. And that is what the framers of the Constitution want to stop. This issue of you are in a political party, and that political party help you now to enter into political position. You now midstream jump. The framers of the Constitution say, no, we cannot tolerate that anymore. You must lose your seat. And I agree. That is a very fine provision. It is done in all countries, even in India. It's a constitutional provision. In fact, they even enacted a law that is anti a situation where you keep on carpet crossing without any justification. But the problem with this Constitution of 1999 is that after taking away that right, that you cannot do that, now revives the right. That is the problem. I'm totally in agreement, and I'm against those who jump. If in one a situation in Nigeria, a governor jumped a political party three times in a day. He was one in the morning, in the afternoon he joined another, in the night it happened in my state. I'm just telling you. And so the constitutional, those who frame the Constitution say, no, we cannot allow that. You can't be doing that. A political party wastes all the resources in sponsoring you and you become a member of the House. You now jumped another, saying what? But that same constitution now went and revived that right and saying, provided you can prove
Yes.
that I'm in agreement with you that it is something we all have to see, whether there is a division or whether there is a merger. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But I'm saying because of that proviso under our constitution, is only the court now, because the right has been revived, can determine whether that man who says that is this or that is this not, that is it's not, will now remain there. So if it's not determined by the court,
who should go
individual
to court
cannot. I don't know who will go. Somebody can go to court and say you have no right to have jumped. Maybe a member of the house who has a locus. You have no right to have defected because there is no division in PDP as at the time you did, or there was no merger. And then the court now will look at it. You present your evidence where there is issue of division and say, my friend, there is no division. You have no right, you have lost your seat automatically. It's only the court that can make that pronouncement. I'm not against those who are, arguing that, look, we didn't see any division in PDP when these guys say they have jumped to another political party. But my own position as a lawyer, and who understands the workings of the law, is that issue of their status and legitimacy must be determined by an independent arm of government, and that is the court. Okay. I hope you understand me. We understand each other.
I certainly do. I mean, and I hope that the viewers at home, because I'm asking the questions for their own benefit as well. Yes. I am just wondering, when you now look at, because, I mean, as you might know, many lawyers have made comments on this, and one of the very prominent ones, Mr. Femi Falana, only recently disagreed with this position. It would say.
I heard him clearly.
That he believes that the lawmakers have automatically lost their seats.
Yes.
But then it raises. He also did say that the governor does not and cannot tell lawmakers where to sit. So from what you're currently saying, this conundrum that has now been raised, where we have 3 or 4 lawmakers who are now saying that they are they've elected a new speaker. They sat yesterday in the new office provided for them. What sort of conundrum does it raise in a place like Rivers, where we have seen laws enacted? Or I don't know how the courts will determine the status of those laws. Laws on local government, laws on finance, as the case might be. Going to the governor, he refusing his assent, and then they passing it on. What would the status of those kinds of legislation be in future if, it is upheld that they were not legitimate in the very first instance? Would we have a very confusing situation here?
There is this particular proverb of an Igbo man that was alleged to have stolen a chicken and was going, and the children were following him around, shouting, "Oh, the thief, thief, thief."
The children?
Yeah, children were shouting, after the man who had stolen the chicken and, hidden it in his bag. Then as they were, screaming, he now saw an elderly man on the road and said, "Please, sir, come and look inside this bag whether I have any chicken inside." And the man saw chicken and told the children there is no chicken. I came here at that time on channels and I told Nigerians that, look, if we follow litigation in Rivers matter, there is so much absurdity that have actually occurred that at the end there will be a pronouncement, but it will take time up to the Supreme Court, and it will not in any way help the situation in Rivers. That the only way this Rivers crisis can be resolved is for the parties to share their sword, because Fubara has not told us what the problem is with his former Oga. The Oga has not told Nigerians what the problems are. And following me, they all know what is their problem. But the only way both of them who say they love Rivers is to share their sword and resolve this matter amicably. Political solution.
But you've heard.
It happened in Edo. After all the litigation, they all came to the table and resolved the issue.
So the law was not relevant in those cases?
Not that the law was not relevant. The point is that if you begin to pursue legality and litigation in this matter, there are so much absurdities. Look at the governor, now you said, has now relocated the State House of Assembly. Is now relying on other 3 legislators now to enact laws for the state. In a state where you have how many members representing that state? Now the 27 members just suddenly woke up one morning and said they have defected to another political party. You and I know, was there any division? So much absurdities. So the way to resolve this issue is not to go the path of, because if you get to Supreme Court, by which time this man must have left office, and then there won't be any peace in Rivers. If you're an investor now, you look at the situation in Rivers. This man has sword or Damocles hanging over his head of impeachment, or he's not going to come back or whatever, will you want to invest in that state? It's the people that will suffer. The only way I came here, people are abusing me. I said, I don't care. I know that the only way they can solve Rivers' problem now, with the present situation, with all the litigation, with the ex parte orders, with the abuse of it, is for them to really say, look, we can't go further in this. Let's resolve this matter for the sake of the citizens.
But they've tried. I mean,
yes, there was the ADR that was adopted as Aso Rock. And they said, okay, we are ready to abide by the terms of settlement.
It failed.
Was not.
You heard the governor just recently said, jungle has matured. Is that what he said?
But I don't expect the governor to say so. I don't expect also Wike to say that I made a mistake.
Yeah.
We will correct it. You are not God.
But
you know, these are statements these guys are making, playing the role of God. And I want them to share their soul.
Yeah, but all of this.
Let me just tell you, sir, let me say this before you ask me. There is an agreement. I don't know what they agreed upon before Wike said, look, this is my candidate. And I don't know what they did here much. But God, he takes all the ultimate praise. Now that he has emerged, allow him to govern. Allow the man to govern the state that you have handed over to him to govern. We were there for 8 years, nobody disturbed you. At the same time, the man also must recognize that without this man, God used him. I wouldn't have been what I am today. Then try as much as possible not to escalate any crisis between both of you. You must show some level of understanding too, with your former organ. So that is my take, because issue of loyalty is important.
Why am I looking to get a solution to all of this?
Yes, sir.
Albeit political, as you're suggesting.
Yes.
How do we also ensure that the judiciary don't mess it up any further?
Beautiful. This issue, most of the cases I've said earlier, the judgments are usually ex parte. None of those cases have actually progressed to the level of substantive trial in which there is determination based on merit. None. So I'm saying that the judiciary should not get involved with this issue of issuing ex parte order here and there. It's exacerbating the crisis. Try as much as possible to say, look, if there is anything, put the other party on note, let me hear both parties. And then now you give a decent judgment based upon hearing both parties. Ex parte order they are all obtaining here and there will not help it. It's exacerbating the crisis. And I'm saying prolonged litigation in this matter will not give the impression that there is peace in Rivers. It does not. No matter how they pretend, there is peace. Oh, no, there is no peace in Rivers in the light of what is going on presently.
So this order that the new group, the other group is, which the governor relied on to issue that executive order.
That's right.
When it lapses, 7 or 14 days, what happens after that?
There is no order anymore. Because these are ex parte orders.
There can't be a vacuum in law.
Well, there can't be a vacuum. So what we're saying now, my take is that all the litigation, if they ever come before you as a judge, ask them, put the other parties on notice. Let me now hear both parties. It is better to decide issue on fair hearing. Hear the other person. Then you now give a reasoned judgment. A sound judgment.
Said it might take up to Supreme Court.
Yeah, and it will go.
And while at that, something needs to be going on in the state.
In the state. And there is no presence of peace. You can't develop a state without peace. So my take, I'm begging and I'm pleading to Wike, I'm pleading to Fubara, whatever the differences are, can we, for the sake of the citizens of Rivers, come together and give peace a chance? That's the only way. This issue of prolonged litigation and going, and I have my way, I will continue, and people are giving advice. When Fubara came to Aso Rock, he believed that there is peace, and he said, I will abide. But by the time he got to Rivers, just like what happened in Aburi conference, somebody said, no, you made a mistake in signing that. The crisis started. So I'm saying, let them share their sword, come together and see what they can do in order to really, because the students of politics are learning. They are looking at what is happening.
Students of law
are also learning what is happening in Rivers. It's all theater of absurdity, which must end it.
Investors are equally watching.
Investors are watching. Can I go into a state where, so why not? It's no peace. You can't do anything for peace. And I think that Fubara himself indicated that approach, that I want to pursue peace, but I don't know what happened along the road.
Mr. Mondoban is former second vice president of the NBA and former chairman section of public interest development at Speedel for the NBA. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for having me.